Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Now let's welcome our main speaker for tonight, Frank.
My name is Frank Jones. I'm an alcoholic. I want to thank Justin for asking me to come and participate at the meeting. It's good to be here. It's good to be sober. I want to thank Greg for his talk, and no, I didn't want to sponsor him. I'm just telling you, he told the truth. No, he's the only guy that ever asked me to sponsor him that I thought, what an order, I can't go through with it. Shit, he is such a loser, I got to tell you. I'm going to just tell you about him, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings in here. So I ain't talking to you when I tell you what he was like, but it just irritates the hell out of me. But he'd come into meetings, and he had his little chinchy baseball cap on and shit. And you come indoors. I was taught, you take your hat off out of respect. You wouldn't wear it in church. And I'd take his hat off, and he wouldn't take his hat off. He was too cool, and he hit on all the women and shit. And he was always mooching money and mooching from people. And it was pathetic. And well, he was. What the hell are you talking about? People that shout out in meetings, that's the other thing that pisses me off. And what do we got? Do you think this is participation? It ain't. And participation meeting was at 6, and he was a loser. And he wouldn't listen, and he wouldn't pay attention, and he's not going to follow any direction. And when I found out when I came into AA, I had to change, because if I didn't change, I'd drink again. Because the guy that came into AA had to drink to survive. And so my sponsor told me, you have to change. You can't dress, you can't act, you can't talk the way you did when you came to AA. And that's the way I sponsor people, is the way I was sponsored. He wouldn't do it. And then he come up and asked me to sponsor him, and I thought, God, no! And I told him to call me the next morning, and he did. And I told him to start doing some things, and things that he hadn't done before, and he started to do them. And I told him to get a job, and he got a job delivering flowers. Paid him like $4 an hour or something. It was horrible. And he kept that job, and he learned from there and went on, and he's progressed. He owns his own company now, a lighting company, and he's making a ton of money. He's doing well, and he's got Ethan, and he's a great kid. And, if I need an example that AA works, all I have to do is look at him, and it's not because of me, it's because he was willing. He was willing to take actions contrary to his thinking, put his little chinchy macho ego aside, and do the right thing, and he has a good life today. So, I still don't want to sponsor him, but as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, I'll keep sponsoring the dude, I guess. Hell, I've tried everything I can to drive him off. But Alcoholics Anonymous works, and I'm glad I stayed in AA long enough to find that out, because when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I didn't have a drinking problem. I hadn't drank in over 13 months. I hadn't had a drink. I flipped out and had a nervous breakdown and choked a guy unconscious. And so I didn't come here because I had a problem drinking. I came here because I couldn't shut my head off. And I'm glad that when I got here, I stayed long enough and had a sponsor that kicked my butt, got me involved in Alcoholics Anonymous, because I can't occupy 2 thoughts at once. So if I'm doing a commitment, I can't think about me and my situation. And if I'm talking to a newcomer and they're telling me about them, I don't have to answer them or care what they're saying, but if I'm listening, I can't think about me. I can't think about my problems. If I do the inventory, if I turn my will and life over to some other power other than myself, I found out that my life started to get a little better. When I left a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, I always felt better. I didn't feel worse when I left the meeting. I always somehow felt better. Now, I wouldn't tell you that if you asked me. I'd still want to bitch and complain because newcomers that bitch and complain get all the attention. And they get sympathy and they get hugs from the women and shit, and all they want to do is rub on them. But that's just what newcomer men do. And I had to change that, but I'm glad I stuck around long enough to find out that if I worked these 12 steps in my life to the best of my ability, and I followed the direction of my sponsor, and I'll tell you something else, I've never been given direction by my sponsor that by the time I got through doing it, I didn't feel better. He has never told me anything to do that's hurt me. And I only have 24 years and a little over 7 months, but to this day, I've never been told anything to do in Alcoholics Anonymous by people with time or people with less time. I've never done anything in AA that's hurt me. And I'm going to keep coming back because my head's quiet now. My stomach's settled down. I can sleep at night. That's why I come to meetings. I don't want to. I didn't want to drive to the Marina Center and talk to you losers. The only place I've seen worse was I was in San Pedro at the Beacon House Friday. God damn, that's an animal house, for God's sakes. I mean, they're dealing dope in the alley right there, but I'm watching it. But I don't want to do AA all the time is what I'm telling you. I got a life today, like I want to do other things. When I get asked to do something, I say yes, because when I leave here, I'll feel better. I don't want to call my sponsor every day. I got over 24 years sober, but something happens when I pick the phone up, dial his number, hear his voice, I feel better. I can't explain it to you. I just feel better when I hear that man's voice now. When I was new, did I want to call him? No. I had to have another AA member get on my butt and have me call because I didn't want to call. I didn't have anything to say to him. And I didn't want to say nothing that wasn't important. And I didn't think anything I had to say was important when I was new. So I had to learn over time that I had to do these things that made me feel better. These 12 steps, I didn't want to work them. I didn't want to do an inventory. I didn't want anybody to know my secrets. I didn't want to read it to another human being. I didn't believe in God when I came to AA. I'd done too many bad things to too many people. So I can't do these steps. I'm not going to make a list of people I harmed and go apologize to them. I harmed them because they deserved it. If that guy hadn't have said that to me in a bar, I wouldn't have smacked him in the mouth with a beer bottle. If you took better care of your girlfriend or your wife, I wouldn't be with her. What the hell do I owe you an amends for? Why'd you leave your wallet out? That's inviting me to take it. You need to learn a lesson. It was never my fault. I was a victim when I came to AA. And I found out that I have to make that list of people I had harmed and become willing to make amends, and I had to go make direct amends. I have to do an inventory every day. And when I'm wrong, I got to admit it. And I don't like looking at that all the time. And prayer and meditation, I hate that. And coming to meetings, because that's where the newcomers are, and that's what the 12 steps says. So I got to keep attending meetings. So I go to 4 or 5 a week. I still have commitments at them. Not because I'm a good guy. I'm not a good guy, folks. I'm still an ass. I got to tell you that. You know, you can't tell, but I am. And but something happens when I work these 12 steps to the best of my ability, and I put an effort into Alcoholics Anonymous. When I do that, I feel better. That's why I do it. That's why I call my sponsor, go to meetings. That's why I do the things I do. That's all just because I feel better. I don't like you people. I don't like 90% of the people in my home group. I'm just going to tell you, the guys I sponsor know that. The people in my home group know that. I tell them. I'm not going to lie to you. You come up and ask me, what do you think? I'm going to tell you what I think. My sponsor told me I don't have to be what my group wants me to be. I have to find out who and what I am and accept it. He said, in my case, I'm an asshole. And he says, you have a lot to work on, and I do. So I accept that today. I don't walk hand in hand with God, a foot off the ground. Those people are beautiful to watch, but I'm not one of them. I'm a human being. I got to tell you, I have the same emotions and feelings I had when I got to AA. I got the same anger. I got the same rage. I got the same greed, the same lust, the same sloth. I'm still a liar. I'll take shit from you if you leave it out. What I do today is I try not to react to those emotions and thoughts, and I do that on a daily basis. So for the most part, I don't do those things anymore. But I'm still the same person. People say I'm a completely different person than when I got to AA. No, you're not. Quit lying to yourself. You know, I am the same person. I just try not to act like that person that got here. That's what I try to do. And when I'm wrong, I admit it, and I make apologies, and I try to do the right thing, because I have to live out in that world out there, and that's where I have a hard time living. I don't have a hard time in AA. I have no reason for being an alcoholic. I mean, I don't look like one. Look at me. And then look at the people sitting around you. So you folks look like alcoholics. Look at the people in this room. I mean, come on, look at you. You're alcoholics, for God's sakes. I have no reason. I have great parents. I grew up in a great home. They weren't alcoholic. They didn't beat me. They provided a great place for me to grow up. They set a great example for me. I played sports in high school. I won varsity letters. I had offers to go to college and play basketball. I had a great childhood in Illinois. 2 weeks before I graduated from high school, my head's talking to me. I'm full of fear. What if I go to college and don't make the basketball team? I'm going to look bad. What if I go to college and flunk out? Now I'm full of fear. I'm scared. I can't see fear. I don't want to meet fear. So I made a keen alcoholic decision. I quit high school 2 weeks before I graduated. That's my best thinking. I'm drinking with the buddies again. I'm drinking. I'm drunk. I have another keen alcoholic thought because I want to be macho. And I mean, look at me. I look like Mr. Peepers. I'm not macho. I'm afraid of the dark. I can't tell you about that. I'm ashamed of it. And I feel like a wimp and a wussy. And I hate that. And I'm drinking with the guys, and I had a keen alcoholic thought. I joined the Marine Corps. If you're a wimp and a wussy and afraid of the dark, you should not go in the Marine Corps. I should have joined the Navy. I didn't know that back then. I found that out later. I'm on a train going up to Chicago to get sworn in. I'm sitting next to a guy in a black leather jacket with a ducktail haircut and long sideburns. He's drinking out of a little brown bottle. I want to hang with him in Chicago because I'm full of fear. I'm afraid of the big city. And this guy says, do you want a drink of it? And I said, sure. And I took the bottle, chug-a-lug 2 or 3 big mouthfuls. And I don't know how you drank whiskey at the age of 17, but I sprayed the crap all over the seats in front of me. I spewed it out. I got whiskey coming out my nose. My eyes are watering. I feel like a wimp. This guy's looking at me funny. I wiped off my face. I handed him the bottle, and I said, you know, that's pretty good. And I drank to fit in and be a part of. I drank to be with this guy so I wouldn't have to be afraid in Chicago. That's why I drank. I got sworn in. I ended up Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, went through boot camp scared and homesick and lonely, and I can't show anybody that fear, and I learned to put a facade out there. I got through boot camp. I got to Camp Pendleton. I'm in the infantry. The Cuban crisis happened. We went down there. I'm scared. I can't tell anybody about that fear. I'm ashamed of that. I have shame. Come back after Cuban crisis, we go to Okinawa and Japan and Korea and Hong Kong and the Far East, and we get over there and we unpack our gear, and the guy said, hey, Frank, we're going to go get drunk. You want to go with us? I felt a part of the guys. The guys asked me to go with them, the men. And I'm going out with the men that night. We went out in the Ville. And we're there drinking a Typhoon 5th of sake, and they're drinking it, and they're punching each other and hugging and shit. That's what macho guys do when they're drinking. And the bottle got to me, and I chug-a-lugged some of it, and I puked it up all over their shoes. And I got sake out my nose, my eyes are watering, and they're laughing and pointing at me, and I hate being humiliated. I'm embarrassed. I feel like a wimp. I hate that. The bottle comes around, I drink some more, I puke it up again. And I learned something that night. That if I'm going to be an alcoholic, I can't let looking bad bother me. I got to hang in. I think that's important. We're the only people in the world. We think it's macho. You know, we puke in public. We wet our pants. Shit, we're champs, ain't we? Look at us. Go to nut houses and jails. I'm cool, baby. Want to go home with me tonight? As soon as the stain clears up. Yeah. You know, you got to hang in to be an alcoholic. You got to have no pride. You know, and I had no pride, and so I hung in. I think that's important. And so I drank enough of that sake that night, and I don't know what alcohol did for you. This is what alcohol did for me. I looked at those 5 or 6 Marines I'm drinking with, and I realized something. These guys are punks. Why am I hanging out with these sissies? See, when I drink, I don't need you. When I drink, I become what I want to become. My head allows me to do whatever I want to do. And so I don't care about you. And I went out drinking on my own that night. I left those guys. I'm cool. And I'm in a bar drinking. I'm shooting pool with another Marine. He said something I took offense to, so I smacked him in the mouth with the pool cue. It looked cool in the movies. He's laying there bleeding. They're calling the MPs. Now, I don't know about you. Well, most of you, from the looks of you, you've been in jail or prison. But I did not want to go there at the age of 17, and I'm full of fear, and I feel bad about hitting that guy, and I'm scared, and I run out of that bar, down through the alleys in Anoka, and I go in another bar, and I start drinking shooters and a beer, and the more I drink, something funny happens. That fear dissolves. I ain't afraid no more. That guy got what the hell he deserved. You know, he shouldn't have said that to me. And if the MPs walk in this bar, they're not going to take me alive. We're fighting it out. That's how I get when I drink. Maybe you don't get that way. Maybe you're not bulletproof and invisible. But you see, that's how I get when I drink. I don't care about responsibility when I drink. I don't care about paying bills on time when I drink. I don't care whether it's your wife or my wife or what. I don't care. I don't care about being a mature adult. What I care about when I drink is me. I care about how I feel, what I'm going to get. Give me, lend me, can I have, let me borrow. It's all about me when I drink. It's not about anybody around me. I don't care about you. And then I look down at the end of the bar and there's a Nason sitting down there. Now I care about her. I'm a sucker for a pretty face. Women have been able to soak me for every dime I've got all my life. She slid up next to me, asked me to buy her a drink, and I did, and I bought her a drink, and then she starts telling me about her sick mom that needs surgery, and it broke my heart. And so I gave her some more money, and her and I trudged off to her place. And I'd like to tell you, we had such a great time. She still remembers it, but it was over too quick for me to remember it. And that embarrassed me and hurt my little macho ego, and I was ashamed. And when she went to clean up, I stole my money out of the headboard and set her house on fire. That's all. I don't know about you. I know you people never did anything even close to that when you were drinking. You go on and keep shitting your friends, okay? Don't shit me. But I set her house on fire, went back to the base and passed out. And a reveille the next morning, I come up, I'm puking everything I'd eat and drink that night. I'm sicker than a dog. I got a terrible hangover. I can't remember anything that happened that night. I don't remember anything. I'm just sick. I'm puking, my head's throbbing. The guys are telling me the MPs are looking for who hit that guy. Now the fear's back. I ain't as drunk no more, so now I know I'm in trouble. I'm going to the brig. And then they tell me about a fire in the Ville. Now, I was ashamed of that. My father didn't raise me to act that way. I don't know where those actions came from. I didn't know how I was going to make that right. I didn't know what happened, and those feelings of not knowing if somebody was in there or what happened and how you're going to pay for it. I'm in deep trouble, and that's a felony, and then, you know, and so I can't get over that. I don't know how I'm going to make that right. And I opened up my locker that morning. There's a bottle in there with a big red dot on it. It's called Akadama wine. I took that wine down and screwed the cap, chug-a-lugged some of it, and I didn't throw it up. So I drank some more of it, and I went out to formation. And by the time the formation was over and I come back in the barracks, my headache was gone, my stomach had settled down, I didn't have a hangover. Now, I don't know what that tells you. What that tells me is if I drink in the morning, I don't have to be sick. I went back to the locker, got the wine out, poured some in a canteen cup, started drinking it. It worked for me. 20 minutes later, I'm bragging about hitting that guy with a pool cue. I'm bragging about setting that woman's house on fire. I'm macho when I drink. I'm cool. Everything I do is okay with me. I became a morning drinker and a daily drinker at the age of 17, and I got in a lot of trouble. And, if you'd come up to me over and said, you know, Frank, every time you get in trouble, it's because you're drinking, I could have given you reasons why that's not true. This is the only disease in the world that's killing you, and your head will always blame something else. But I could have given you reasons why alcohol didn't get me in trouble. You see, if that guy in the bar hadn't said that to me, I wouldn't have hit him in the head with a bottle of beer. So it ain't my fault, it's his fault. He needs to learn how to talk to people in the bars. Duty NCO said, shut up and go hit the rack. Nobody tells me to shut up, so I smacked him. Does that sound like I'm wrong? No, he shouldn't have told me to shut up. It's his fault. So when I got to AA, I blamed my wife, the kids, the job, the police. I blamed everybody for all my problems. I was a victim when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. I know there's victims sitting in there tonight. He ain't never had a break. And I had never had a break when I got to AA. Man, I was taking advantage of it every turn. And the old-timers snapped me up in my home group and said, you want to see what the problem is, Slim? Go look in the mirror. 12 steps in that big book are made for you to work, not the people around you. People around you don't have to work this program. You do. You're the one that has to become different. Your wife don't have to work this program. Your kids don't have to work it. Your boss don't have to work it. You have to change and become different. I didn't know that. I learned that in Alcoholics Anonymous. I ended up spending a year in a brig over there. I figured the cab drivers were ripping us servicemen off, their meters were fixed. I intuitively knew that. It used to baffle me, but I figured it out. So I beat his face in with a rock, trying to get my money back. They put me in the brig. My dad flew over to Okinawa, met with the commanding general. He paid for the guy's surgery, paid for his retirement, give the cab company some money. I begged the Marine Corps not to throw me out. It's the only thing I knew how to do. I'm 18-year-old. And this was 1963, so, you know, things had changed today. But back then, you know, bar fighting and carrying on, that was all part of the Marine Corps lore. And after they paperwork went through after my court-martial to get me released from that brig, I'd spent 337 days locked up in that brig. If you'd have told me it was behind trying to get money to drink on, I'd have denied it. No, those guys are ripping us off. I'm just getting back my money. Only disease in the world that's killing you in your head will always blame something else. They sent me to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and I went through Illinois. I met a girl there that got out of high school. I married her, took her down there with me. She wants me to stay home and be a husband. I'm a bar drinker. I like the intelligent guys and the beautiful women. Now, I don't know what you guys would do to get out of the house, but I'll tell you what I did. I'd start a fight with her and make it look like it's her fault. And then we're having a cuss fight. And now it's her fault, and we're having a fight, and now there's yelling and screaming and cussing, and I can't drink in a noisy place, so I can't stay home. So that gives me my reason to get the hell out of the house. So I'm out in the bars drinking. And then some guy will say something, I'll hit him with a bottle or a big glass ashtray, and then I got to get out of that bar because they're calling the Jacksonville police. I go in another bar and I lock eyes with some honey, and I got to be validated because I don't feel like a man. And guys like me have to be validated with another woman when they're married, when they don't feel like a man. Maybe you didn't, I did. And so her and I trudge off to her place and do what we got to do. And then I'm laying there sobering up, and I'm starting to think, and you should never drink and think. That's a bad deal. And I'm feeling the feelings you're going to feel when you're a liar. And I'm feeling the feelings you feel when you're unfaithful. And I can't go home and look at that woman now. And so I stop and have a couple of shooters and a beer. Now my head says, that's what guys do. This ain't a big deal. And so I think I'm cool. So I go home. And I walk in and she says, where have you been? Now I hate that question. Now I got to lie to her. I would not be a liar if she didn't ask a question like that. So it ain't my fault I'm lying. See, it's her fault. Yeah, I'm not a liar naturally. It's her fault. If she'd have just shut up and not asked that question, I wouldn't be lying. So there you go. And I come into AA and I found out my wife's none of my business. It ain't my job to tell her what to do, what to wear, what to cook for dinner, or how to clean the house. My sponsor told me, if you don't like what your wife cooks for dinner, shut your mouth and cook your own. But never say anything to her. If you don't like how that house looks, clean the house yourself. You're the one that has a problem with it, not her. Keep your mouth shut and clean it yourself. I had to learn in Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm responsible for me. If I don't like something, I have to do it myself. Not expect her to do it or the kids to do it or anybody to do it. I have to do it. And I have to keep this shut when I do. And so I had to learn that in AA. Then we have a kid, and I don't know how to treat kids. They cry, they make messes, they spill things, they crap in their diapers. I mean, no human being should do that. Kids ought to be born about 12-year-old and potty trained. That's the way I looked at it. And she'd make messes, and I'd shake her, and I'd throw her in the crib, and that guilt and shame would come over me. I know I'm a bad father, and the only thing that'll take those feelings away is a couple of drinks of alcohol. And alcohol makes it okay with me then to act that way and to do those things. I come into AA, and I found out kids are little people. That's what they do when they grow up. I found out that I had to clean my language up at home. My sponsor told me don't use the language at home that you use in the bars. Your wife and kids don't deserve to hear that come out of your mouth. All that is a sign of a mental cripple trying to express himself forcibly. Stop it. Try to use the English language. I had to quit cussing at home. I had to quit using my bar talk around my wife and kids. They don't deserve to hear that. And he said, it don't make you macho, it makes you silly. And so I had to quit doing that. Then I got called into the CO's office one day, and they issued me a rifle, a telescope, and live ammunition, sent me across the ocean to a place called Vietnam. Vietnam, that ain't my problem. It never has been my problem. I've never claimed it as my problem. When I got to Vietnam, it was 67, 68. I was up at Quai Son and Con Tien, and I'm full of fear. I'm afraid. We're at war. People are dying. I see that. I'm a sniper. I know what it is, and I can't tell anybody about that fear, so I learned a secret over it, 151 proof rum. I put that in my canteens. I drink that. I'm bulletproof and invisible. Now I can go out on those patrols, do the things I got to do to show everybody what a tough man I am. And then I come back in that harbor side, I drink out of those canteens, and I don't feel bad, I don't feel guilt, I don't feel shame, I don't feel any of those things. I feel I do the right thing, and I did a lot of bad things to a lot of people over there. And I'm not proud of that. That's where alcohol allows me to go. I come into Alcoholics Anonymous, and what I found out is I have right now, and if I can put enough nows together, I'll have a sober tonight. That's it. I cannot undo my past. I cannot go back and change anything that I've done in my past. What I can do today is try not to act the way I used to act, try not to treat people the way I used to treat them, try not to react to every thought I have or perceived injustice against me. And for the most part, I do that. But all I can do is live right now. I can't close the door on my past. I need to remember what I used to be like and where alcohol allows me to go. And I ended up getting wounded over there during the siege at Quezon. I come back to the States. I'm home less than 48 hours. I want to go out in the bars and drink and talk to all the other macho guys. And me and my wife are having that cuss fight again. And we'd had a son born to us while I was there. And my daughter's growing up. And there's a lot of chaos in that place because I'm trying to get the hell out of there. And so I finally told her, shut up or I'll kill you. And my wife, she didn't believe me. So I went in the closet and got the gun out I'd left home for her. And I walked back in that kitchen. I said, if you don't shut up, I'll kill you. And she didn't shut up. I don't know what you do when you're macho. I do what I say I'm going to do. And I got my daughter pulling on me saying, don't shoot her, Mommy. I'm trying to get the safety off that gun. It's rusted. I hit a pin at the base of the receiver. I pushed the pin in. The gun went off. It was a firing pin. The bullet went through my hand and down between my legs where my daughter was standing. And the bullet didn't hit her. I'm a blessed man for that. I could have accidentally shot and killed my daughter that day in a drunken rage. That's where alcohol allows me to go. I didn't feel bad about that. Shortly after that, my wife divorced me. I couldn't believe that. You guys, I'll tell you, you know what you got here in this meeting? You got an organ transplant surgeon. That'd be the only reason to have your phone on. Hope it's got a speaker on it, so when we shove it up there, you can yell in there, hey, it's on speaker now, but it's in my ass. I didn't mean that. Well, yeah, I meant that, but I apologize. It just says in the big book you got to make amends. It doesn't say you have to mean it. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be like that. Yeah, I did. I meant to be that way. But, you know, that's... she divorced me. I couldn't believe that. I fired one shot. I shot myself. What the hell's up with her? I drank over that. She took my children. I thought I was a good father. I became a drill instructor in San Diego. When the recruits left their stuff out, I stole it to teach them a lesson. I fought in the bars. I carried a gun. 2.5 years on the drill field down there, I had a keen alcoholic thought because I'm macho. I volunteered and went back to Vietnam for a second tour. I thought that'd be the thing to do. So I went back for a second tour. I was in the infantry this time. I was a platoon sergeant, and all I did is repeat my bad actions from the first time, and all I did is allow alcohol to save my sanity. And I got shot up in an ambush over there again, and I came back to the States. I'd been in the Marine Corps 11 years, and Marine Corps wants me to come back after lunch, and I can't do that. I got to drink to keep the demons away. They're starting to consume me. And so I got out of the Marine Corps after 11 years, and I became a police officer here in Southern California. Yeah, how do you like me now? Yeah, I probably beat your ass, that's why. It's not a problem. How much time did you serve, Mr. Cool? I became a police officer here in Southern California, and, you know, I can't tell my partner about the demons in the alley because he'll think I'm crazy. I can't tell him about the fear of going down there. He'll think I'm crazy. So before I go to work, I drink. Drinking takes that fear away. Now what happens when I go to work, if you scare me, I get violent. I was a violent police officer in the city here I worked in. I'm not proud of that. That's where alcohol allows me to go. Because of AA, I get to go into institutions today. I speak in there. I make my amends to those guys. And I tell them what I used to be like and what I'm trying to be like today. And that's just how it was. And then I got married and we had a kid and my wife got pregnant and I don't feel like a man. I got to be validated. So I started to have an affair with my partner. I have a female partner now. Doesn't make me any difference what your preference is, but female partner now. Time has moved on. But she found out I got my wife pregnant, and she took offense to that, and she shot me. And it's just funny, isn't it? That's cool. You'll have to talk to your sponsor about it later. There's just no reason to attack me like this. I haven't done anything. But she shot me in the head, and I thought rather than get gunned down in a police car, I'd resign. So I left the police department, and I got a real estate license. If you think money, property, and prestige will fix it, if you're an alcoholic of my type, money doesn't fix it. Money didn't take away alcoholism. Money can't fix alcoholism if you're like me. Maybe it can fix it for you, but not for me. And the rage is still there, the anger's there, the sloth, the laziness, the greed, the theft, the lying, the cheating, the abuse of the family, the yelling, the screaming, it's all there. And money doesn't fix that, because I made a ton of money in real estate. I bought a brand new Cadillac. I paid cash, because that's what cool guys do. I bought my wife one. I paid cash. That's what cool guys do. I bought a house, put it on a 1/4 acre, and put a swimming pool in and a 3-hole putting green. My kids wore designer clothes, and I had diamond pinky rings and gold nugget bracelets and chains and shit. I had a Mr. T starter kit before he's ever on television. It didn't fix it. And at the age of 36, I stood there and looked around, and everything I'd worked all my life to get was gone. The house, the car, the jewelry, the clothes, everything, the wife, the kids, and everything I owned was in a cardboard box in the back seat of a stolen car. And that's a hell of a note for a former police officer. And I ended up homeless. I ended up on the streets. I ended up passing blood when I went to the bathroom. I got very sick. A woman seen me I worked real estate with, took me to her house, she cleaned me up, took me to a doctor. Doctor gave me a physical, they let me go. I went back out on the streets, continued to drink. When I got the results, she found me, took me in to see him. And what that man told me that day, he says, you're addicted to alcohol the way a heroin addict is to heroin. He said, you have a hole in your throat, you have cirrhosis of the liver, all the things that's going to happen to you if you're drinking and eating and living the way I was living. And he said, if you don't stop drinking, you're going to die before summer. When he told me that, I had a flood of relief, because I was tired. I'd been busy. It ain't easy walking through people's lives. It's a tough task. And I was tired. And I walked out of his office after I shook his hand. I thanked him. Thank you. Walked out of his office, went straight to the liquor store. The money that woman gave me to eat on, I bought a 5th of 10 high whiskey and a case of beer. And I drank as hard and as fast as I could, because if alcohol was going to kill me, I wanted to die. And then to make a long story short, my parents found out I was dying on the streets, wouldn't take care of myself, and they had me committed. They had me strapped down in this hospital. If I could have got out of the restraints, I'd have went home and rapped to them about it. I hadn't spoke to them in about 4 years. And I was pissed. You see, I don't know why they were doing that to me. I hadn't done nothing to them. I hadn't even bothered them. And they pumped me full of vitamin B and magnesium to help with the withdrawals. And some of it I remember, and some of it I have no recollection of. I remember some of the cramps and the sweats and seeing little things that fly around the room that ain't there. And then they unstrapped me from that bed, and what they made me do is go to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I couldn't figure that out. I'm not an alcoholic. I'd never been arrested for drunk driving. I mean, I wasn't really homeless. I just needed another deal. I mean, I was that close to making it. I mean, your head can convince you of anything when you're an alcoholic. Your head can allow you to lie to yourself. And I wasn't really as bad as I was portrayed of being. I couldn't believe that they were saying those things about me. They were totally off base. I was a Marine, for God's sakes. I was a police officer. I can't be like this. You're all wrong. And I went to that meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and there was a bunch of losers in there like you. I couldn't believe it. Doing the same crap you're doing tonight. Nothing's changed in 24 and a half years. Everybody's hugging and shaking hands and shit, loving each other. You know, the ladies all look nice, their hair's done, makeup's on right, and the guys are all clean in clean clothes. And I looked at you and I immediately realized you could not have lived the life I lived looking like you look. So what in the hell am I doing here with you people? You couldn't have done the things I did in Vietnam, and the things I did as a police officer, and the abuse to 2 wives and 4 kids, and living on the streets and stealing and ripping people off. You look too good. You can't know what I did. You don't know the feelings. And what you guys told me is, Frank, get your coffee, shut up, and sit down. Go to 90 meetings in 90 days. Come to AA if you want to take a drink. Have respect for AA. Sit in the front, shut up, and listen. Go to 90 meetings in 90 days. If you want to drink, come to AA. And I heard that over and over again, and I hated you. I'm not coming to your meetings. I don't need your meetings. You see, I'm a macho guy. I know there's a tough guy sitting in here tonight that just thinks I'm full of shit. And I love that. We'll be here when you get back. And I'm only telling you what I've lived through. And if you're maybe you're not an alcoholic of my type. But you see, I came back the next night and I looked at you. And I realized something. You people didn't make the money I made. You didn't have the cars, the jewelry, the big house, the clothes. You didn't have any of that. And you guys said, Frank, you don't have any of that shit now. You're homeless. Get your coffee, shut up, and sit down. And I just wanted to rip your throat out. And they said, oh, there's too many of us. You're not going to do that. Go to 90 meetings, 90 days. And I got to tell you that if you're an alcoholic of my type, what happened to me might happen to you if you think you're too hip, slick, and cool for this. If you think you're too tough. You are tougher than anybody in here, because I felt that way. I walked out of that hospital, I stood out in that sun in Indiana, and I started crying, and all the things came down and started sitting on my chest that had done all my life, and I was as sober as I am tonight. And I didn't want to take a drink of alcohol. I haven't had a desire to take a drink in over 24 years and 7 months. I had a desire to commit suicide. Now, where do you go when you have no hope? Where do you go when there's no light at the end of your tunnel? Where do you go when you have no money, no job, no clothes, no family to turn to? Where do you go when you don't have a phone to pick up to call your sponsor? You don't have 12 steps to apply in your life. You have no concept of a higher power. You actually think that you put the sun and the moon out. Where do you go when you feel that desperate and that crazy? If you're an alcoholic of my type, what happened to me might happen to you if you don't plug into this thing called Alcoholics Anonymous. See, I came back to California, found my wife and kids up in Oregon, told them I was sober, moved into a garage in a big 6-acre field in Newhall, California, slept on the floor of that garage, ate out of a styrofoam chest. My kids put water on their cereal. We ate block bologna and government cheese, and I didn't go to meetings. You see, I feel like somebody does in here. I don't need you. I don't need to listen to this crap. I don't need these 12 steps. I don't need to go to a meeting every night. I don't need a sponsor. I am going to do it on my own because I have the willpower and I'm tough. That's what I thought. And at 6 months without a drink of alcohol and no meetings, and I don't take medication of any kind and never have, I am driving a stolen car on the freeway with a 45. I'm looking for work. I need a job. And I honk at this guy in front of me in the fast lane, and I'm telling him to get out of the fast lane. He's not driving fast enough, and it's irritating the hell out of me. And you folks here in the Marina may not give a shit about that. You may just pull around him and wave at him, and everything's good with you because you're serene. But I'm 6 months without a drink and no meetings, and I'm crazier than hell, and I'm intense, and I'm desperate, and that's it. And I just rear-ended the guy. And I chased him off the freeway, and when he stopped, I took the gun, I walked up to his car, I put it in his face and said, "You drive that slow again, I'll kill you." Now, I didn't want a pina colada that day. I wanted to take that man's life. Where do you go when you get that desperate and there's no way to let the pressure off? Where do you go when you don't have a sponsor, you're doing it your way? Who do you talk to if you haven't made a friend in these rooms? Who do you go to if you don't have a higher power to let go and let them? Where do you go if you don't have these 12 steps to apply in your life? Do it on your own? Good luck. 10 months without a drink of alcohol and no meetings. I don't need you people. I was a sniper. I was a Marine. I was a cop. I got discipline. Don't talk to me about discipline. Don't talk to me about willpower. I'm standing in Alpha Beta buying me Pepsi and cigarettes. Do you think I'm going to buy my children milk for their cereal? I'm a taker. I've been a taker all my life. And I'm not getting anybody anything until I get mine. I'm always going to get mine first because I'm selfish, because I'm self-centered, because I only care about me. And the sign says 10 items or less, cash only. Now my head said, count this woman's items, because now I'm crazy and my head's spinning. I'm 10 months without a drink, and I count her items, and she's got about 13 items. Now that probably don't irritate you here in this area. If you're a thinker like me, think about this. If you're standing in that line and it says 10 items and she's got 13, do you look and see, are those 12 eggs, is that a dozen eggs, or is that 12 more items? Is 2 half gallons of milk, is that milk, or is that 2 items there? By the time I analyzed her shit, she had about 30 items. And I'm ready to launch. Where do you go when you get that angry and you can't back it down? And I'm standing there, I am as mad, and she broke her checkbook out. I couldn't believe it. It says cash on that sign, lady. You can't write a check in this damn line. And she turned and said, "I'll be through in a minute, Sonny." I said, "My name ain't Sonny." I said, "I'm not Sonny right here, right now." And I said, "You're not writing a check." And I took her eggs and milk. I threw that shit all over Alpha Beta as far as I could throw it. 4 large sheriffs will come. If you build it, they will come. I didn't want a pina colada that day. I wanted to rip her blue wig off. I hated that old woman. That probably won't happen to you. Don't worry about it. You're a lot tougher than me. Don't worry about it. You're cool. That's how I get when I don't drink. That's how I get when I don't go to meetings. That's how I get when I don't have a sponsor. That's how I get when I don't apply Alcoholics Anonymous and these principles in my life. 13 months without a drink of alcohol and no meetings. I'm standing in this office. I'm trying to interview for a job. I need some work. This guy walks by and said, "Hey, Frank, how you doing, bud?" I said, "That's a personal question. Why are you prying into my private life?" I said, "I'll tell you how the hell I'm doing. I don't want these people to hear it." And I grabbed him by the throat, jerked him over on the desk, started choking him, saying, "How do you think I'm feeling now?" And I flipped out. I had a nervous breakdown. That probably won't happen to you. Don't worry about it. You are a lot tougher than I ever thought of being. And I got to tell you how God worked in my life when I don't believe in God. They pulled my fingers off this guy's throat. He laid a card down. He was an active member of my home group, and he said, "You need to go talk to this guy." He said, "I can't help you." And they took me back to that garage, and they sat with me for about 9 or 10 days, and I don't remember those days at all. I have no recollection of those days. And then when I was through, they took me down to this man's office, and I sat in his office, and I cried. And I had taken life and sobriety as far as I could take it. I was done. And what that man told me that day has saved my life and my sanity up to and including tonight. He said, "Frank, you ain't had a drink in over 13 months. He said, "Right this minute," he said, "drinking ain't your problem." He said, "What you've got right now is a living problem." And he says, "You got to find a living answer to that living problem, pal." He says, "You'll probably find it in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous." He said, "There's a group of people that's walked down that path before you got there." He said, "Fall in behind them and do the things they're doing." I'd never heard that before. He didn't say bring the body and the mind will follow. That is such bullshit if somebody tells you that. I'm just going to tell you, they're trying to kill you. Get away from them. I'm telling you. That book says this is an action program. I believe the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that means if it's action, it means you got to be doing something. If you think you can bring the body and your mind will follow, go home tonight, sit in your garage thinking about being a Ford or a Chevy. If you turn into one, drive on over to my house, I'll honk your horn. It ain't going to happen, folks. You got to do something. And I started coming to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. I started paying attention. I started listening. I had to put my ego and my macho crap aside. I had to surrender. I had to get commitments, cleaning up and mopping floors and washing coffee pots, and that's beneath me. I was a staff NCO in the Marine Corps. And I was a cop, and I don't need to do crap like that, but I did it. And every time I did it, I felt better. And I started calling my sponsor, and I started finding a way to release the pressure in my head. And little by little over time, what happened, like I told you in the beginning, is my head quieted down. And my stomach settled down. I started to be able to live out there in that world that I have a hard time living in. And I found out about a higher power. He said, "Whoever puts the moon out and takes it down, pray to them." And so I started praying to whoever took the moon down. And I now have a conscious contact with God today. And I get on my knees and I pray today. It ain't beneath me or it ain't unmacho to do that. I get on my knees every night. As a matter of fact, I get on my knees with my wife and pray with her. She's not even in AA. And I do that. And it took me about 2 years to allow anybody to see me on my knees. I can let them see me puking and peeing in my pants, but for God's sakes, don't let them see you on your knees praying to some higher power asking for help. It's the ego. And you see, when I got sober, I thought everything would be fine. I thought I'd never have any more problems. I thought everything would be great. And what happened is life happens to me. Life happens to everybody, and I didn't know that. And so when bad things started happening, I thought, it ain't working. Yeah, it's working. It's just life. It's part of the journey. There's no destination. It's the journey. And my dad died when I was 9 years sober, and I went back and put my 9-year medallion in his pocket because that man did a lot for me. I never thanked him until I got into AA and I got to make amends and have a relationship with my father. And then my brother, he got sober in my house, and he had 17 years, 10 months, and he got this rare disease, and he died suddenly. And I love my brother, so all I did is come to more meetings and get my strength from you people. I didn't run and hide and feel sorry for myself and cry and all this shit. Oh, my brother, how'd this happen to me, and why him and not me? I came to Alcoholics Anonymous because I get my strength from you people. 4 days after my dad died, my brother died, my mom died. All I did is come to meetings. I get my strength from you people. Nothing's ever going to have a drink or fix a pill, a snort or a shot, make it better. It ain't going to bring anybody back. I spent 2.5 years unemployed in sobriety and lost everything. House, car, credit cards, good credit, everything I'd worked for, I couldn't find a job. My sponsor says you ain't filing bankruptcy, you made the bills, you're paying the bills. It's their money anyway, it's not yours. And I made a lot of phone calls and I stayed in contact. I did the things Alcoholics Anonymous taught me. And that was a tough time when I came to meetings. I talked to you people. I didn't carry it around inside acting like nothing was going on. And then I got the job I'm in today, and I've been doing it for 9 years now, and I caught up on the bills, and everything's fine. And, you know, bad things and good things happen in sobriety. I ended a 31-year marriage. You know, it wasn't nothing big and arguing and crazy. I said, we sat down and talked one day. We had grown apart. And we didn't even use an attorney. We just divorced. And we talked about it and went on our own ways. And then I met a woman after I was divorced a while, and she's not an alcoholic. And she didn't even know what AA was. And I took her with me to speak, and she almost shit. And, she said, did they write that down for you and have you say that stuff, or did you really do that? And I said, oh, that's just a script they gave me. I didn't really do those things. And as I'm striking matches outside her house, and but she came to me with my meetings, and she met Clancy and Johnny and Larry and Greg. She met all the guys, and Millie and Marianne King and all of them, and she loves them. She thinks they're just such nice people. I said, no, they're not. They're not nice. They're fooling you, see? They're asses. She says, stop saying that. They're really nice people. Look what they've done for you. And when I stop and think, look at what they've done for me. And we got married on December the 12th. I'll never forget our anniversary date. It's 12/12. And she's a lovely woman, and I'm a blessed man, and I ain't giving her the antidote. She can just stay asleep for as long as she wants. But I have a good life today. And that daughter I almost shot, she's an attorney for a medical corporation in Indiana. She grew up and became successful in spite of me, not because of me. Because I took Alcoholics Anonymous home with me, and that wife that was with me that 31 years brought Al-Anon home, and those children were raised that way. And so they were raised good in spite of me, not because of me. And my middle daughter's got a master's degree and teaches 5th grade, and she's successful in spite of me, not because of me. And I have a relationship with them, and they love their dad. They love me in AA. My youngest daughter wanted to be a veterinarian, and she got her bachelor's degree in San Diego, and she called me one day and said, Dad, I don't want to go to school 3 or 4 more years. And I said, well, what do you want to do, Beck? And she said, I want to take my second choice, I think. And I said, yeah, what's that? She said, I want to be a police officer. I said, what? And she just completed her 9th week in LAPD Academy, and there's going to be another Jones with a gun and a badge. Yes. And I love my daughter, and she's beating the hell out of all the men in the academy, and she's got a 97.2 average, and she was running 5 miles a day before she got there, and she runs circles around all these macho guys in the academy, and it makes them crazy. And I'm proud of her, and she's successful in spite of me, not because of me. My son, who was born when I was in Vietnam, he spent 13 out of 17 years in state prison because he's a violent, angry alcoholic, and I don't know where he got it from. But he came into these rooms, and he'd sit around, and he was too tough for us, and he was too slick, and so he kept going to prison for 3 and 4 years at a clip because he was cool. He did it his way. I'm proud of him. He hung in. I think that's important. And today there's tough guys in here, I know that, and good luck, like I said, but I'm glad I didn't have to take that road, but today he's got 4.5 years sober. He surrendered. He cleaned up. He started doing what his sponsor told him to do. He started having respect for the program. He started getting commitments to the meetings. He dropped a lot of his attitude. He's got 4.5 years sober. He's a plumber in the union. Got a fiancée. He's a good kid. I love my son. He calls me every day. We get a talk. It's because of Alcoholics Anonymous. It ain't because of me. I'm not a good father. I'm not a good man today. I'm a member of AA trying to live in a world I have a hard time living in. If you're new tonight, you don't have to remember anything I've said because I haven't said anything that's important to anybody in here to save anybody's life. I don't kid myself about that. What I said was for me tonight. I need to remember what I used to be like. I need to remember what it's like today and how I even found AA. And I'm a lucky man, and I know that. I got a quiet head and a calm stomach. It's all I wanted when I got here. And Johnny Harris says it. He says, if you like what you're getting, keep doing what you're doing. If you don't like what you're getting, change what you're doing. But if you're new or used, I think the only thing you should have listened to tonight was read to you out of chapter 5. And it's that very first line of chapter 5. I love that line. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Thanks for having me.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.